Congrats, way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul, I see you. All right, Charlie, finish on. Coach Carl.
Great job, guys.
Hey there, it's Coach Curl here, and welcome to episode 247 of the Today's Leader podcast. Today, it's Leaders Are Readers, and the book I want to review is a book entitled Seeing Red Cars by Laura Goodrich. Now, this book was released in 2011, and I actually picked it up for purchase in 2011. The insight from the book was absolutely immediate. Now, the concept that grabbed me was the name of the book itself. And one of the key principles that really got me in to try and get the concepts around the book was the concept of seeing red cars. So have you ever researched, have you ever worked to get the car of your dreams? And then finally the day arrives when you get it. You get the car of your dreams. And in this case, it might be a red car. And then all of a sudden you're driving home from the dealer and a funny thing starts to happen. You start to see more of the car that you just got, whether it's a red car, whether it's the model car. You start to see more of the cars. Day two, you start to see some more. In fact, you start seeing them everywhere. Have you ever wondered about that? That was one of the first premises of the book that I really was intrigued about, because that did happen to me. I purchased a new car. Prior to purchasing the new car, I couldn't see them. It was really weird. It was just really weird. No matter where I went, I couldn't see these cars or couldn't see them in great detail. So I thought, for this particular car that I purchased, I was actually buying something that not too many other people drove. And then on the way home from the dealers on the day that I actually got the car, all of a sudden I started seeing them. And I really wondered about what was going on. Was it that I was just missing them? Or was it something else at play? So I really wondered about that. But then the other premise that really got me was, when they talked about the pressure shot, whether it's in the big game, the person that shoots under pressure, there's a series of athletes that always seem to make the winning shot, and then there's a lot of people who succumb to the pressure. Whether it's a golf shot over water, for example, often whether it's a pressure shot to win the game or whether it's a golf shot over water, often we'll set ourselves and tell ourselves what we don't want to see happen. So in the case of the pressure shot, often we'll say, don't miss. And often when we're taking that golf shot that's going to go over water, we're saying, don't hit the ball in the water. Don't hit the ball in the water. And often, far too often for my liking, it's exactly what we end up doing. We hit the ball in the water or we miss the shot. So once again, why is that? What is the science behind that? And the simple premise behind the book is we get what we focus on. We get what we focus on. So when we have the car of our dreams, we're very focused in a positive sense. And hence we start seeing them everywhere. And conversely, when we're telling ourselves what not to do, like in the case of don't hit the ball in the water, our focus is on the error or the stuff that we don't want to see happen, not on the visualization of the winning shot. And hence our mind and our focus actually work against us, because we're telling ourselves we're focused on the negative. We're focused on what we don't want to see happen. And the book Seeing Red Cars by Laura Goodrich is an exploration of how our brains work. and provides us with really great strategies on how we can make it happen and how we can change our neural pathways and create positive outcomes for you. Now, the book comes with downloadable content for you to work through, and there's also, I believe, some audio as well. But one of the really simple things to see if this book is actually for you is to go onto YouTube and do a quick search for Seeing Red Cars. And there are a number of videos out there by companies that have implemented this particular program or the principles behind the book. And there's a number of different videos in relation to the author herself, Laura Goodrich. So it's a really good opportunity for you to get a bit of an understanding, a greater understanding around the book and whether it's actually resonates enough with you to make that choice to purchase it. So the book has two main premises. So I'll start building from that. So the two main premises are that we have a tendency to get more of what we focus on. So you notice that the statement is more of what we focus on. It doesn't mean we get all of what we focus on, because otherwise everyone would just say that they want to achieve something, and it happens. But the reality is that where we put our focus, we are more likely to achieve a result. But we also, number two, is that we have a natural tendency to focus on what we don't want. So allow that to sink in for just a minute or two. We have a natural tendency to focus on what we don't want. So how many times have you told yourself, don't eat the cake, don't get fat, don't get out of line? So we're focusing on the consequences or the negative approach, and hence we tend to get more of what we focus on. So it's a really interesting thing. So one of the best things that comes out of this book is it helps us curtail our unproductive way of thinking. So that tendency to focus on what we don't want is actually really unproductive for us. It helps shift the don't wants to the I wants. It also helps us shift the don't wants into the must haves. So, and once again, this is not just a book that says change your mind and change your thinking. It actually gives us really good strategy and strategic paths on which we can change our outcomes. It helps plot our path to success, and it takes us on a journey of action. Because without us shifting and changing our patterns of thinking and applying the actions and the practices that we need, nothing changes, nothing improves. And the book, Seeing Red Cars by Laura Goodrich, absolutely identifies that. It shifts and changes our pattern of thinking, our pattern of behaviors, and applies those actions and the practices that we need to get more productive outcomes. To get an understanding of what this book can actually achieve for you, I'm going to dive into the second chapter with a little bit of depth. Now, the chapter is called Rewire Your Brain for Better Outcomes. So it sounds pretty heavy, doesn't it? Rewire your brain. But fundamentally, the book is written in a style that allows you to resonate, that allows it to resonate with you. It's not overly sciencey, it's not overly nerdy. It's a practical look at the way this works. Now, this chapter gets a little bit into the science around how the brain works. And a clear message is one of creating new and multiple pathways in our brain. And that we start engaging in new and different activities to achieve this. It allows us to overcome the ruts. And let's face it, we all have ruts in our neural pathways, those bad productive behaviors that take us down the path of where we don't want to go. So we want to overcome the ruts that we've made in our brain, and we want to build new roads. Now, this sounds easy, doesn't it? But one of the real challenges that we have within our neural pathways is that we can never just erase a pathway. Like, it would be just so easy for someone to be able to get a rubber or an eraser at the end of a pencil and just erase a pathway that no longer works for us. That pathway is always there. We need to replace that pathway with a new practice and a new habit, and be always aware that the old pathway could still be a constant nag for us. So people say it takes X amount of days to form a new habit, and there's a lot of research that would indicate that. But at the same token, it only takes one day or one breach to bring that old nagging habit back. So we need to also be aware of that. We want to replace the pathway with a new pathway. We want to create multiple pathways, and this book helps you do that. So we need a strategy, and that strategy includes walking through the overcoming of fears, getting specific about what it is that you want. It focuses in on how to correctly and properly visualize success and what that success potentially looks like. It helps us form productive relationships, and it helps us align with forward-thinking people, all of which is hard. Because change is hard work. We know that. We have to build new pathways, and we need to be disciplined about it. We need to follow a process and a practice that simply works. And that's one of the main reasons why I love this book. And all of a sudden, by the end of chapter 2, you're starting to plot through some of those practices, some of the strategies, some of the handouts, some of the worksheets that are absolutely available. You're thinking at the end of chapter 2 of creating your bucket list for a well-rounded me. Now, doesn't that sound ideal for you right now? You're going to create a bucket list for a well-rounded me or you. In this case, detailing your strengths to create focus and commence the process of building your strategy. And yes, you heard that right. That's chapter 2. And the funny thing is that you'll be doing it willingly. It's that sort of a book. Now, the book teaches you so much more about yourself. It gives you a real fresh perspective and allows you to see change in a positive and not a combative way. So many of us resist change. We want to battle change. We want to defend ourselves against change. But by going through and applying some of these practices within Seeing Red Cars, it helps us see change in a real positive way and look at things as a leader in an optimistic manner that allows us to be more proactive. There is so much to take on from a personal perspective, but there is so much more when you start thinking about this as a business and a corporate perspective. It is easily applied. So whether it's an organizational wide thing or whether it's just within your team, it is easily applied. So it can be applied from a personal perspective, from a team perspective, and also from an organizational perspective. Now, if you want your team to focus on what's important and who as a leader doesn't want that to happen and actually achieve positive outcomes, jump on and start reading Seeing Red Cars. The cover, the subheadings, think it, see it, and do it, and driving yourself, your team, and your organization to a positive career. So there's so much to like about this particular book. It works you through things like the reticular activating system, which is part of that concept of what we focus on, we get. So Seeing Red Cars, Laura Goodrich, fantastic book, especially if you really want to see some proactive, positive change in respect of yourself, your team, and your business. And that's our book review for the Today's Leader podcast. Leaders are readers. Now, in today's disruptive world, good leadership skills will always stand you in great stead. If you're looking to build better leadership skills, check out the Today's Leader platform that we now have at todaysleader.com.au. Now, our podcast has created the foundation for the Today's Leader platform, and our website includes our podcast and our magazine. And we're pleased to say that the Today's Leader Masterminds are now available through the Today's Leader website. Everything is supported by our network site, but Today's Leader has become a collective mindset for the leaders and entrepreneurs of today, forging the path of success for tomorrow. The mindset to make a difference, the ability to create an impact. Think and Grow Business hosts our Today's Leader Masterminds. Think and Grow Business, we focus on personal, professional, and business growth. Book your free 30-minute discovery call at thinkandgrowbusiness.com.au. And don't forget our online academy at the Coach Curl Academy. We have over 78 programs to help you build a better you. The first month is just $1. So the Academy equips you to enhance your mindset, your leadership, and your business. And you can check that out at thecoachcurlacademy.com. Don't forget, you are standing stronger, braver, and wiser. And wherever you are, whatever you do, don't forget the golden rule. Yes, you know what it is. Just don't be an arsehole. I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.